if he did record everything like they said he did, is there video in his in his home of her hitting him?
Real life.
It ain't real life. Just ain't real life street stars. You know what time it is.
How do you bring in, this is a criminal trial, how do you bring in this evidence to try to get beyond a reasonable doubt when there is just like this mysterious ghost figure that he's supposed to be, this mysterious mastermind that he's supposed to be? Now, the things that they actually have him on, I think they got him on the drugs. I think they got him on the money and the transactions dealing with the drugs and the transactions dealing with the prostitutes.
Mhm.
I think they have him on that. But this whole situation with him being this Marvel supervillain, right? This black Lex Luthor, in a sense, to a jury, as we go along, at some point you say, man, hold up. Y'all said a whole lot about this man being a villain, but you haven't shown one video, one photograph, or anyone who ever saw him commit these crimes.
Yeah. And that's another, it's like, and you know, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but it just seems like he's being berated and judged upon just how freaky he is and his sexual exploits, which he ain't blow up that man's car. Bro, I just feel like that's what he's on trial for. And I feel like it opens up a very serious door about what we're going to start seeing as far as black men dealing with women.
Look, I talked about sexual assault and rape and all of that before on a previous show.
For sure.
And so those are very serious accusations and they should not be just overlooked. But at the same time, you're correct. They are being weaponized. I think it was the Kansas City chief wide receiver whose wife alleged that he had sexually assaulted her or raped her after she got caught cheating. And that case was dismissed based on the fact that they found or there was enough evidence to show that it didn't happen. And so you have it on both sides. You have it being, you know, a horrific crime and something that should never be done to anyone. And then you have it also being weaponized and, how should I say, falsified against individuals. And you're right. I've talked about it before in the sense that this case has become more about what people do behind closed doors in their sex life than anything else. Now, I want to throw this out real quick. I'm expecting the defense to bring in witnesses to testify that they literally saw Ms. Ventura beat up on Diddy.
Yes, that's enough.
Right.
I think that's going to happen. And when that happens to a jury, does that neutralize? Is it because you have some relationships that are just violent?
Right.
Right? None of us have been in one, but we've seen those type of relationships.
We've had guests come on here and speak to the relationship of Diddy and Cassie and said, yeah, that was a thing. Like they beat up on each other. Like it was not just one-sided. Now the visual that we seen in the hotel, that was what they did.
Now
allegedly.
Now what?
No, it's not allegedly.
No, I'm talking about what they did.
They fought.
Yeah, they fought.
It was a fight in the hotel.
I know. I'm not saying that. Overall, like they get into it.
Cassie fought, man.
Now, what I'm curious to see if he did record everything like they said he did. Is there video in his home of her hitting him?
Right.
Yeah, and I hate to. I don't want to go X-rated with you, Mr. Larry Taylor, but I have to say it. I mean, anybody who's looking for like, you know, BBC, like punishment of, you know, vaginal orifices, if that's a word. I can see them being a pain freak, which means when it comes to dishing out and giving pain, it could definitely went both ways. Now, you don't have to comment on that. I'm just giving you my observation. I'm giving you my observation.
Next question. Next question. Next question.
All right, Joker. All right. I was like, where's he going with this?
The largest.
So, has Diddy done anything to get life yet? Basically, like,
like I said before, it's up to a jury to convict him, and it's up to a judge to punish him.
Right.
And so, if he is convicted of these crimes, and the code basically allows for a life sentence, then he is subject and possibly to be sentenced to life.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So,
Oh, wait.
Hold on one second.
So Cuddy,
Right.
he does say that Diddy did call him, or he was ready to meet up with him to handle like men.
Right.
Diddy said, "I'm at your house. I'm already here." And he said, and this was one instance. Another instance was Diddy was on his way back to his house to look for him, and Cuddy said, in order to protect himself, he called the police that day just in case, because he didn't know what Diddy was on. He said Diddy sounded like he was going to come with some other people. He didn't know what he was on. And of course, there's been other testimony where Diddy has grabbed guns to kind of go handle things. To show that Diddy is a violent man, as far as Cuddy's testimony, like he's a violent man. He found a Molotov cocktail in his Porsche after he picked up Cassie and the whole thing. Again, there's no evidence that even Diddy did. That's a whole different trial maybe, but there's no evidence there. But to kind of paint the picture that Diddy is violent, is for the charges that they're charging him for, being a violent man, does it even matter if he roughed up a bouncer at a club because he didn't get a section or whatever? Like, just show he's a violent man. How does that work in the prosecution's area as far as, let's just show he's violent?
I think his defense has already laid the groundwork to that, and saying that he was part of a domestic violence relationship. And these other acts are all really alleged because, once again, no one has ever really said that they saw him do any of these things. And there's no video evidence at this time that he actually did these things. I know that, if I'm not mistaken, his assistant received immunity, and another witness had a proffer agreement. Now, a proffer agreement is when you go before the feds and you tell them exactly what you know. And as long as what you're saying is the absolute truth, what you're saying will not come back and be used against you, in a sense. And so those two witnesses, because that information is out there, is pretty much, it could hurt their credibility toward the jury. Most of the time, it really doesn't, but it could. And so, going back to your question, as far as showing that he's violent, they want to show that he was kind of mafia violent, the same as John Gotti or some of the other alleged mafia bosses that people know about, and using this racketeering. But I think they're still falling way short of having any actual evidence, because to charge him and say that he actually threw and set Kid Cudi's car on fire is basically saying that he's guilty of a crime, an arson. And how do you do that and say that when you have no evidence other than circumstantial that we were beefing, and use that to convict someone beyond a reasonable doubt? That's a very slippery slope.
Right.
But that's a very slippery slope.
As of right now, who's winning?
I think it's no one winning right now. I think that
They'll win? There are no winners.
I think right now, the defense, and I shout out to, and I forgot his name just that quick. Shout out to Young Thug's attorney who's involved in this case.
Brian Steele.
Yeah.
Brian Steele?
And I said, when I saw the trial, the YSL trial, I said, this dude is good because he's not emotional. He doesn't do the shock, right? He's not really doing anything to sensationalize the internet, to get viewers or get clicks or anything of that nature. He is very methodical about his questioning. He's very careful. And so he'll let you slip and fall into that crack on your own. And he'll lead you to where you need to go. And that's what you really need from a good defense attorney. Someone who can take the jury step by step. And so when he comes back and he questions individuals about, okay, is it really what you say it is, or is it something else? And he gets them to fall into that, it undermines what the prosecution has done. And so because he's done such a great job at that, but yet and still, you had both Ms. Ventura and her mom testify. That's a mark for the prosecution. And the testimony about the sex, a mark for the prosecution. But at the same time, the crossing of Ms. Ventura, right?
Right.
Like, didn't you text him and say, hey, when are we doing?
Yeah, those texts are wild.
When are we doing a freak off? When are we?
I can't wait.
Right.
For the next one. Like,
and so that type of thing, the prosecution is going to should have their own expert come in and say that, hey, look, there are people out there women out there who enjoy this type of relationship, enjoy these type of sexual behaviors.
Shout out RealLyfe Street Starz, nigga. Move it. Hey.